I made the bad hidden notes. Me and Twin get the highs for sure. We put codeine at high doses. If you watched any of my videos last summer or were a fan of me, you would know one thing for sure. I like Joe Bartolozzi. Some would even say that I have a bit of an obsession and a speech impediment, apparently. But what reminds me of him in my day-to-day life is when I find out stats about people who can't read, or if I meet someone who can't read, or if I talk to someone who can't read, or someone doesn't like reading. I don't know. Stuff to do with reading. It reminds me of him because there's a few times actually where he would be like baffled about that. Like I think he even watched a video about it one time, but it doesn't make sense in his brain that there are people who exist and can't read, right? So I kind of wanted to talk about it in a video, which I would never normally do, right? I had no motivation to make this video at all until the other day, one of my closest friends wanted to make a video with me, right? This is someone who I've made videos with before, but I was like, yo, we should talk about like a movie or something, right? Like what if we talked about a movie without watching the movie? It's a bit deeper than that, but basically I was like, yo, that would be fire. So I sent him a summary of a movie and he couldn't read it. He couldn't read it. And another thing about this friend is that he doesn't like texting, right? And maybe that's just like, okay, whatever. I get like you might be lazy or something, but he literally like can't read. And I think this is a big problem because I've seen statistics about people not being able to do it, but I've never been exposed to it to the point where I've comprehended how like severe that is, right? Because for me, I read stuff every single day. I don't read a book every single day, right? Like I'll read a book every once in a while, but I'm talking about like I'll read about philosophy, I'll read about science, I'll read about religion, I'll read about like why people might act the way they do. I'll read about dynamics in relationships. I'll read about certain mental issues people might have and how to like respond or react to that in a way that still like benefits both of you, right? There's so many different day-to-day things that involve reading, right? And it's not like I can't comprehend how someone can't read. It's more of like oh my God, they don't even know what they're missing. There are people who are alive and don't even like feel a problem about the fact that they don't understand the world around them, right? Like you gotta imagine, right? When I look around and I see my wall and I think, what is this wall made of? How did they make this wall? You know what I mean? And this isn't something that I think everyone should do. I am perfectly okay if you don't give a freak about science, if you don't care about philosophy, if you don't care about thinking at all. I'm perfectly fine with that, and I think you're still a valuable human. But I think the issue really persists when you don't care about anything, right? Like, I look at my wall and I think of how is it made, right? How is it made literally like the atoms, right? Or how is it made like how do they make the house? But other people don't have this in any aspect, right? Like when they're like imagine being in a relationship with a partner and never ever thinking about why they might have acted the way they did, right? Never ever thinking about how what they went through affects how they act right now, or how you might need to treat them differently or something like that, right? And then on top of that, imagine having kids. Imagine raising kids, right? And you can't read, or you don't like reading, or you're not interested in learning anything. Like that's not going to go well. You know what I mean? And there's proof of that, right? I'm not the type of person to just like throw up a study. No, I don't want you to read. I'm not trying to make y'all read, but like seriously though, like that locks people in a loop when you're being raised by people who don't even like reading. You're probably not going to learn how to read either. You know what I mean? Some other ways I wanted to talk about this is more of the climate of the world, more specifically America, because that's what I have the most experience with. But the climate of everything going on, not like politically, but like mentally, right? Like the mental state of everyone is going downhill because of social media, mainly, right? I'm sure a ton of other things too, but gang, there are kids being raised on TikTok. There are kids being raised just watching videos every single day who are literally addicted to it, right? Their new drug is just plain steal a brain rot all day. And I think this is a really big, I think this is a really bad issue. I think this is a really big issue. And the reason why I think it's not solved is because I think it's a deeper than we can process issue, right? What I mean by that is I think people in power benefit from us not being able to read. I think when we can't read, it helps them control us. It helps us become more predictable because we can't understand why we're acting the way we do. If we don't even care about the choices we're making, right? Like, for example, for me, if I feel too attached to someone, right? Or if I feel like I'm getting anxious about something, I like understanding why. I have this sense of me that's like, let's find it out. Let's find it out so we can cure it, obviously, recognize the issue and then build how to get rid of it or to better it or to make it go this way instead, right? But there are people who can't even do that. So imagine how powerful these people are to the people in power, right? These are your pawns you can just control because they can't think for themselves. So when someone says like someone lacks critical thinking or they can't think to themselves, right? You might think like, oh, maybe they're just dumb, maybe they're slow, but it's not even like they're dumb. They literally don't even like have an urge in their body to care. And if you don't learn how to read when you're younger or have any care about reading, then when you're older, in order to care about this stuff, you have to learn how to read first. So now it's not just like, let's figure out why I'm anxious right now. And it turns into, in order to figure out why I'm anxious, I have to learn how to read. Right? So that like, oh my goodness, bro. I've talked about this all the time on my channel, and I hate being negative. One of the biggest things I want to do more often is creating videos that are more positive, right? So I want to really try to find like some type of solution, maybe some type of way to not get too hurt by this. But this is a really big issue, and I wouldn't be talking about it if I wasn't exposed to it firsthand, right? Because I'm blessed to live in a place, in a situation where I'm surrounded by people who can at least read. I don't think they're like critical thinkers all around me, but it's people who can at least like comprehend stuff and learn at least like if they wanted to. But there are so many people out there who can't. And I'm trying to think of like the future, bro. Like trying to raise kids, even if I can read and I teach my kid well, my kid is like smart, at least like more than average smart, okay? And I feel like I did something good. It's like all around them are still people who lack it because I can't parent them. If there's 1 million people in America who cannot read, I can't teach all of them how to read. And I know that that's an obvious thing. I just said the most obvious thing in the world. It's like, obviously you can't teach everyone how to read. But it's like, that hurts me, bro. Because I can do everything in my power to raise my own kid. Try to help the people around me. But then I still, like, am hurt by being in a community, being in a society that is cluttered with people who can't think and can't read for themselves. Right? And that really affects me, like, negatively. Right? Like all the time when I'm out in public trying to interact with someone and then I realize this person literally is like in a bubble. They've never taken time to think about why they act the way they do. Never. That's something I do every day. So imagine me doing that every single day, right? I'm not trying to say I'm better. I don't understand. I understand that this comes off almost like egotistical, right? But objectively, if you zoomed out, if I took away my consciousness and I was an all-powerful, all-seeing being, and I would just describe what I see, I would basically say, Blake, me, likes to identify issues that go on within their life and build to create more better scenarios and situations to where these issues aren't so harmful. But there's other people, most other people, who don't do that, who can't do that because they've never been taught it or they've never been interested in doing it. So for Blake, that compounds every single day. It's not like I just learn one thing new and then after 100 days I learn 100 things. It's not that simple. It's I learn one thing new every day, but then they start intertwining with each other. You know what I mean? Like I learn a little bit of philosophy, I learn a little bit of religion, I learn a little bit of science, I learn a little bit of psychology, and then all together it creates this huge, bigger picture. So if there are other people who don't even have a single piece out of all of those, they don't even see the frame. They don't even see any of the picture. So it's like, goodness, bro. I hope I explain it in a good way. I'm not trying to be hurtful. I would hate if this came off almost rude, but it's like, dude, this has to be fixed, because it's one of the issues where it's like I don't think people can adapt from this. You know, like I don't think in the future we're just gonna have to accept everyone spends 90% of their time staring at a screen. I don't think we're just gonna accept that all of our kids are raised on TikTok. I don't think that's what's gonna happen. It's not like we're gonna adapt from there. I think the solution is to cut it out, right? There's this poison. There's this addiction that is on the body of the world, you know? Like you're made up of millions of cells. And when you have an addiction, it affects all those cells. But now imagine those cells were all individual people and the body was a community, was a society, right? Now this addiction is hurting every single one individually because of that. So I hope that makes sense. That's some of the main thoughts I have, right? I'm not going to get into like why it's an issue, because I think a lot of that has to do with maybe poverty and cyclic cycles of that, where you're being raised by parents who aren't critical thinkers. So then obviously the kids probably aren't going to be critical thinkers or readers and stuff like that. I don't really want to get into the specifics there because I feel like that's not my place to talk about. Like that's like politicians and stuff. I do have my thoughts there, but I just really wanted to emphasize my perspective of this, right? The most objectively I can. Because oh my, man, growing up from now on, I feel like I'm going to see this constantly growing, constantly getting worse. And there's just nothing I can do, you know? Like I'm saying, like when I'm out in public and I'm interacting with people and I realize how hurtful their thinking is just to everyone else, there's nothing I can do. I just have to be like, okay, like this is another drop of poison literally in front of me, and I can't clean it up. I can't get rid of it. I'm just like, okay, just gotta accept it. Like that's really difficult, you know? Like there's so many younger people in my life that I want the best for them, whether it's a little cousin, whether it's my friend's younger sibling, whether it's my younger sibling or anything like that. Like there's so many people who I want what's best for them, but I know that they're living in a place where addiction runs everything. You know what I mean? Like they're living in a place where social media addiction is normal. Drinking every weekend is normal, right? Like it's like everyone is so caught up in not thinking. Everyone's so caught up in distractions, and that's just normal. It's expected. It's how they're raised. And I think that affects me. You know what I mean? Like I want the best for these people, but then I'm realizing, oh my God, there's nothing I can do to help what's best for them. You know what I mean? Like I just seem like I'm just like if I'm trying to tell them to get off their phone. You know what I mean? Oh man. It's something I really wish I had an answer for, and I hate to be so negative about it, but I think if you are still listening right now, you are not one of these people too hurt by it. That's what I would assume, you know? Because I think a lot of people who are hurt by it also love turning a blind eye to it. Love acting like it's not what's really happening. So they wouldn't make it this far in the video. So, you know, I'm preaching to the choir, basically. There's no one new here, so I don't even know why I'm still talking. But if you have any thoughts to say, please say them, man. I would love to have a conversation about this. This is something that I want to get as much perspective on as I can, because this is the future, bro. Like this is the seed that is about to grow into the next generations, and they're just addicted and distracted all day and can't think about themselves. Goodness gracious. Bro. Okay, but yeah, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Blakey, 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 Blakey everywhere. Music, 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 music. Blakey, Blakey, all plats, all plats, all plats. Spotify, Apple Music, Blakey, 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 Blakey everywhere. Go run that up. You don't have to read to listen to the music. That's pretty fire. So if you can't read, you're still accepted. But just know, man, you're missing out. You're missing out for sure. And I believe in you. I believe that you could figure that out. But unfortunately, I don't have a solution. And I'm very bummed about it. But that's that, man. People can't read. And they're around us. And some of them are my friends. Goodness, bro. Wow. Maybe in the future I'll have some more in-depth thoughts about this too. Maybe a solution. So that'll be fun to look back on. But as of right now, that's where we are. So I don't know, man. Have a good rest of your day. Like this video or something like that. I don't even like this video. But I'll see y'all.